We're going to talk about human resources, and probably the first thing you need to know about human resources is that there really are dual missions. If you go into an organization, you're going to find that almost all of the legal things that happen in an organization somehow they flow through human resources because it deals with humans. So that being said, you have two different issues. You have the legal things where human resources is the actual keeper of all the rules and regulations and the laws. And you also have the other part, we call it humans. No matter what happens, there will always be rules. And you have to have a staff that follows the rules right to the letter. You cannot have them making a mistake or an exception, but you have to have the leadership having the skills and the acumen of knowing when exactly to make an exception because sometimes there are exceptions to the rules. That's where you have to sit down and pay attention to the details, know the details, and know what can bend and when it can bend, and when you have to sit there and hold fast. Really, it's a process of determining the human resources needs and then recruiting, selecting, developing, motivating, evaluating, compensating, and scheduling employees. I told you it's got a lot of different things in it. So you have a role, and it's a place that really should serve as a resource for employees, but it also has another audience is the public, the one that you want to hire the people to come into the organization as well and also represent the organization. This is a chart. It's actually relatively well thought out. You got human resource management, but you also have the concept of recruitment, and we'll talk about that, and selection. They're actually two different things. Training and development, motivation, evaluation, make certain you have the compensation and benefits. And yes, that all goes through human resources. Scheduling, employee scheduling. Okay. Also, employee union relations and career management, and all that is all wrapped up in human resources. And you have all those things that have to be juggled on a regular basis. Things your HR manager doesn't tell you that we're short-staffed and under pressure too. We struggle with dealing with negative coworkers too. As a matter of fact, almost all your negative coworkers somehow have their pathway going through human resources. We're not always going to be able to help you in the way you hope. Sometimes, let me tell you this confidentially. Well, okay, if it violates a law or a rule or regulation, sometimes it is not confidential and has to be evaluated. Yeah. Okay. So help. We can help you move up the career ladder. Well, wait a minute. If you mess up, and also we have to follow the processes for the career ladder, and it's not always about you. Oh, it's amazing. Yes. Okay. You can post on Facebook, can get you fired. Well, that actually is true. So be careful on the whole process. So that being said, really the ultimate resource are people. I don't know about you. There's a lot of technology out there. I know how to use it at least most of the time. But the reality is that people really are the resource, the ultimate resource you turn to get a problem done. Such workers are scarce. Making, recruiting, and retaining them is a big deal. The human resource job is now the job of all managers in the organization. Here are just a few things working with people: uncertainty, technology, multi-generational workforce. You normally got four, sometimes five generations at the same time. Shortages of trained workers, growing percentage of uneducated and unprepared workers, baby boomer brain drain, increasing number of single parent family and two income families. Okay, a change in attitude towards work. You have all these different things out there, and they're all people issues. Or wait a minute, human issues, and that's what we call it human resources. Somehow we have to juggle all those things with all those duties and get it all done if you're working in this field. U.S. firms, we have a shortage of workers that are skilled in very specific areas. Sometimes, yes, it's biotechnology, sustainable engineering. A lot of times, it's something as basic as carpentry and plumbing too. So you have all these job markets out there that need people, qualified people to do them. So we're going to launch this chapter talking about the two roles. You have to know the rules as to when you must follow this over here and when you have to bend the rules. One time I had a situation where I had a faculty member in another country, and his 19-year-old son did something really dumb, and all of a sudden he was put in jail for selling scalp tickets to an Olympic event. All of a sudden he's in prison with some of the world's worst criminals, and the father's panicking trying to get him out of the country. Of all things, somehow he was there. I had to find a way to sit down there and either make him come back, and if he didn't come back, I'd have to fire him because he'd be in violation of contract, or work with the union to make something unusual happen. We did. We bent the rules together and we got the board of trustees approval to do that. So that being said, I had to bend the rules. And by the time it was all done, it was maybe a happy story. I'm certain the 19-year-old son learned a pretty severe life lesson in the process, like, duh, don't take tickets from somebody else and then try to sell them and make a cash profit off it. Okay. Or maybe it's a matter of, anyway, he learned a couple lessons in the process. But in the process, I had to sit down and have a special, unique contractual situation where I made an exception to the contract. I had to know when there's a rule, and sometimes you need to sit down and remember the name of the area. It's called human resources. Keep the rules. When you bend the rules, HR has to have the details right, know the file rules. You have to know when to bend it. You also have to know there's 4 generations usually in the workplace at all times. And employees, they're not machines, they're actually a resource. The dual missions of human resources. Take care.